Hello, this is Reader to Reader, where we, as readers and healers, discuss what's coming up in our world, and we bet you can relate to a lot of these issues. I'm Julie Johnson. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I am also a spiritual coach, Akashic reader, and I provide energy healing under my company, Heart Alchemy.
And I am Mystic Michelle of Mystic Wisdom Healing. I am an intuitive mystic, intuitive tarot and oracle reader, Reiki master, and herbalist. And today on Reader to Reader, we're going to be talking about being the strong one and what that looks like as a healer and kind of what we go through in that process. So let's do this.
Nice.
All right, so we have gone and we've done giving you little episodes about who we are as healers and how we came to be healers. And now we'd like to get very intentional about why we started this podcast and having topics in regards to different things that we go through as healers that we feel that other healers go through, but we're not supposed to talk about because we're healers, which segues me right into our first topic pretty excellently. Love when that happens. Of checking on your strong friends, because we have this whole thing that happens to us as healers and as the strong people in our lives where we end up being the person that everybody kind of brushes off because we end up getting through our stuff. And when we start being emotional or start having problems, people don't know what to do with us because we've been their leader. And then life seems to start going downhill. So yeah, that's what I'd like to talk about today. Anything to add to that?
Gosh, there are just so many different aspects of this that we can talk about. And something that just screamed into my mind as you were sharing this is, and the ways we perpetuate that myth ourselves.
Yes. Ugh.
I tell myself, oh, I need to be fine. Or my friends just think I'm fine because I present as fine.
Yes.
And it takes a lot for me to ask for help.
Exactly.
So
I also have the one going along those lines of I'm a healer. I'm not allowed to be going through this because I have all the self-care routines. I have all of this stuff that I do to regulate myself. And I have this like higher wisdom or whatever you want to call it. I'm supposed to be okay. I'm supposed to be the stable one. So I'm supposed to be the strong one, and I'm not allowed to dip below that unless I'm with another healer.
Yes. Well, and that's why healers need other healers. Yeah. Something that's come up between me and a friend who's also a counselor is we think we're not like qualified to help other counselors sometimes because, well, we all believe we shouldn't need to be helped, even though we're all also told, oh, healer, like receive healing, like counselor, go get therapy, but we have this idea that, well, it's this combination of imposter syndrome and also, but I can't be imperfect. It's this, I don't know why I can't be imperfect, but there's something in my training or my limiting beliefs and programming that means, well, if I'm helping other people, I've got to be so on top of things. And yeah, there's all these biases that come into play too. Who can heal somebody else? Who can help somebody else?
Yeah. What are your qualifications?
Yes.
For helping somebody else?
Yeah.
And like to really what I think about, when you're that strong person and you're in that idea of I'm supposed to be this and I'm supposed to be this. It's like, okay, well, where are these things stemming from? Are they stemming from our healing and our trauma that we went through that created us to be healers in the first place? Because usually most healers or counselors we end up having a lot of trauma, which makes us have the ability to recognize it within our clients what they're going through. Like, I don't know about you, but a lot of my clients that I end up having end up like, I am when I first started healing, I had to stop laughing because like their story was so similar to mine
Mm.
in their own way. And I'm like, oh, I got this on lock. This is what I went through. But once you start opening up that realm of, well, I went through this too, it's like the mysticism of your magic like dissipates, and they're just like, you're not as impressive as I thought you were.
So their perspective gets to shift.
Yeah.
I think that's, I don't always have that experience of like, oh my gosh, I went through the same thing. It's more like I resonate with this flavor of challenge you're going through
Mm.
because we're human and we're like, I may not have experienced this level of trauma, but I experienced something that has a real, like, clear energetic similarity, or something that was, challenging for me in a different way that still brought up the same issues. And so I think I also like to do that with clients. It's like, well, what worked for me when I was going through something like that is this. How does that resonate? Do you think that that would be something that could work for you? Let's try it out. It's this weird thing of, like you're saying, like demystifying, like, oh, but you don't just like know everything out of a textbook, or in my case, or like out of all your spiritual downloads. It's like, well, no, I had to earn that
Yeah.
knowledge. I like most of my counseling and coaching and spiritual guidance comes from like, what have I had to work on it myself? Which is hilarious because we know this, and yet we still have these spiritual perfectionisms, whether we hold ourselves like, well, I had to go through all this to become this, and this is why I can help you. But also, I can't be struggling. And also, if you think I'm struggling, I feel like not as much of a leader or not as much of a support to you,
Yes.
if that makes sense.
That does make
There's a
sense.
lot of contradictory
It is.
beliefs going on.
It is. It's like, um, oh, I don't know why this popped in my head, but that Humpty Dumpty,
Mm-hmm.
like Humpty Dumpty's the king, and he fell off the wall, and he can't be
Mm-hmm.
put to get back together again. Nobody knows what to do because he's the strong person, the
Mm-hmm.
leader that
Mm-hmm.
everybody is looking at, and when
Yeah.
he falls and makes a mess of himself, everybody's stumped and they don't know what to do. And so, like, I imagine that as like the strong people.
Totally.
And it's like,
Mm.
I I have a real problem with that because for me, especially with my friends and stuff like that, it's like, okay, you've watched me for so long, and yes, I know I'm strong. Yes, I know I've survived these things, but I've also helped you through things. And so it's like, am I really that good of a teacher if you're not able to
Mm.
verbalize what I've told you back at me? Why am I not allowed to receive my information back to me? It's not like you have to be as good as me, or like that I think, and there is no like as good as me.
I know
Like,
what you mean. That, like, it's almost like, is the perception there that because they received this from you, you must not need it,
yes.
which is hilarious because I don't know about you, but I can't even count the times where I'm with a client telling them, like, getting these like clear downloads and insights, or just feeling it so strongly of this guidance I'm giving, and being like, take note, because this is obviously for me too right now in this moment. It's not even like, oh, this could be helpful for me. It's like, no, I'm going through something that's requiring this guidance for me too right now. How cool is that?
How cool is that? And you're like trying
So,
not to laugh as the information comes
I
out
yeah, where I'm
because
like, I have said sometimes to clients, I'm like, this is for me too, by the way. I'm learning this too. This was just a smack in the face to me too. So I get it if this is like a
yeah,
whammy moment, because it's whammying me too.
yeah. So we're in the same boat. Yeah, yeah. So it's just like that thing where it's like, here we are, these strong people. Like, I've actually gotten resentful of
Mm.
being told how strong I am. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm allowed to have emotions. I am
Mm-hmm.
allowed to go through negative changes, negative thought processes. I am just as much allowed to be told that my feelings are valid
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
I validate you through your feelings. So why are you brushing my feelings off and perpetuating the stereotype which makes us the strong people
Mm-hmm.
of no one's there for us, so we have to be there for ourselves.
Yeah.
That's how most strong people end up being the strong person,
Mm-hmm.
is because in their entire life, anytime they've had an issue, they've had to figure it out on their own because they didn't have anyone else.
Or they were, to put a slightly positive spin on it, they were maybe told and empowered to figure it out, which can have pros and cons.
I guess it depends on what background you
It just
got.
totally depends.
Because if you came from like a neglectful background
It's
of
it's
having,
I gotta figure this shit out.
I've got to figure if I want to live,
Yeah,
if I want to survive,
yeah.
like I need to know how to survive.
And in from other angles, it's like different types of survival, I guess.
Yeah.
Not actually survival like when there's neglect going on, but just like expectation. I think there's something that can happen too with especially kids who are highly mature or like
Forced to grow
emotionally
up.
forced to grow up or just like or tend to maybe have some of those tendencies of caretaking, things like that, end up becoming expected to, well, it's like the strong one just early on. It's like, well, you just take care of yourself. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
You do fine. You figure it out. So I don't really need to worry about you. I'm thinking like a parent, maybe. I have a friend who is the youngest of um, four siblings, and she feels like part of why she's so independent is because like she was so high functioning and she didn't need a lot of support. So when she did, she felt neglected when she did, but it's just that her parents couldn't catch it. They didn't see it.
They didn't know
They're
how
great
to.
parents, but in their way, and they're flawed and all these things, right? But they loved her. They wanted to be there for her. They didn't know how to connect with her because she maybe didn't have the same issues that her siblings did. And
Or
I've
they were
seen that before
so
too.
used to her just being okay.
Yeah, that they just didn't, and she didn't know how to ask. I think I really appreciate. I have a group of friends who we see each other pretty regularly, but we have this kind of understanding of if someone's like raising the emergency flag, like, hey guys, like I need an emergency hangout. We do whatever we can to meet up as soon as possible to like just like, okay, what's the issue? What's going on? And it's been like for the past year, like a few of us have done this. Everyone's done it except me. And I found that interesting that I just hadn't done it. I just didn't have an emergency. I was just dealing with everything. It was fine. I'm fine. And it's true. Like I was going through things, but there was never like I was getting the support I needed in so many ways. Like I have supported friends, all these things. And it wasn't until I think last week, last week, I messaged them and I was like, hey guys, like if you're free on Saturday morning, like no big deal if you're not. Like I was
Right.
really like I was struggling. Okay. But I was like, well, like I totally get it if you guys have something else going on, but like if you could make it, that would be great. Everyone made it because they saw right through my bullshit. And one of my friends specifically, she was like, oh, I knew that was an emergency call. I
Yeah.
knew that even though you didn't say it, even though you didn't say like, "Hey guys, I'm in emergency mode." Like we all knew.
Yeah. Well,
So those are good friends.
those are really good friends, and it's also a fascinating point to bring up. When you were telling me this, what it was coming to my mind is, you spent a whole year not in crisis, having things come up, but do we just get so used to being in crisis that I mean, to put it in perspective, there are, women have really high pain tolerances.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
there have been women whose appendix have exploded and they've refused to go to the doctor because they just think it's period cramps.
Oh, that's
Right. And so is it like that with the strong people
terrible.
where
Yeah.
we just are so, we're just like, yeah, this battle's not so difficult. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't, I'm not at DEFCON 5. Things seem kind of
Well,
controlled, but
and
like,
it's not like, as you asked that, it's a great question, because I had serious things come up. I had emotional crises last year. And it's not that I didn't reach out for help. I just never actually specifically was like, I need the group to all come together. It's like I'd call specific individual friends, or I'd go to a healer or something like that. And I'd kind of, or maybe we were already getting all together. And so I'd share issues. So it's not like I wasn't being supported or wasn't sharing that I was going through struggles. It's that I didn't, it's like, for whatever reason, I didn't specifically call to action, like be like, and now I seriously need help, where it's going to be like mainly a focus on me sort of thing. It's sort of like, oh, thank God we've got a hangout coming up because I'm going through it. And then we
right.
still get support. But to go back to your actual question of like, maybe I think there is an element of that. Like, well, I'm just used to sweeping up my own floor,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like most things probably aren't going to totally derail me. Thank goodness.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like, and the things that do, like, I know how to move through them. And I do have support when I ask for it. And I'm getting better at asking for it.
Yeah, so there's this level of needing to ask for it, but then there's like, I guess, as a strong one who goes through stuff, there's no sympathy to, I guess maybe sympathy is not the right word, but like I can recognize when a friend of mine is going through hard stuff and they're
Mm-hmm.
trying not to tell me about
Mm-hmm.
it because they don't want to be the burden. And I'm just
Yes.
like, okay, dude, like, am I gonna have
Like,
to beat it out of you? Like,
yeah.
what's going on? Like, where you, but people are so used to watching you go through so much stuff that when they see you and you say, no, 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 I'm fine, that they just
Mm-hmm.
let you be fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, no, I really do want to talk about it, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to talk about it because I'm not used to being vulnerable like that about all my issues.
Mm-hmm.
But then, as like this healer persona, I still now feel like I can't confide
And just anyone.
in just
Well,
anyone, or
which we
just
probably wouldn't anyway, but like just
very
anyone.
selective
But yeah,
about who
yeah,
we confide
yeah.
in. And so it's like, I guess it just always comes back to me as like, the strong ones need just as much support
Absolutely.
as anybody else.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's
It
like,
just comes in different ways.
it comes in different ways. And like, sometimes it can just be as simple as, hey, you look like you're going through a hard time.
Yeah.
And instead
Being
of
seen.
being seen, and
Mm-hmm.
instead of the automatic response that you always get, which is, you're resilient, you're strong, you'll make it
Yeah.
through this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, yeah,
Like, duh.
I know that.
But it sucks right now.
But it sucks right now. Can we just
Mm-hmm.
talk about how it's
Yeah.
sucking right now? And
Yeah.
I've got to process this, and I would
Yeah.
love to process this
Yeah.
with somebody.
Yeah.
But I feel
Not
like
just on my own.
can't, especially now that you've given me this cop out of,
Mm.
you're
Mm-hmm.
strong, so you should get through it.
Yeah.
You're resilient. Yeah, but part of that
Yeah.
resilience is
Support.
support. Well,
Mm-hmm.
support, and then just even recognizing that you're in the shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And accepting that that's where you are, right? Like, you're resilient because you're down and you know that there's no one that's going to come save you except yourself,
Mm-hmm.
which is really valuable.
It's
Like,
an amazing skill.
if that, if everybody knew that, I don't think we'd need as many healers as
Mm-hmm.
we
Yeah.
have in these
Yeah.
days.
And the conundrum there is like, it's that beautiful kind of what's the word? Uh, Catch-22 isn't the right word, but that the kind of two things
Double-edged
being
sword.
true. Yeah, like two things being true simultaneously that seem to contradict each other.
Yeah.
There's a word. But like we can know, like as a healer, I know like all my healing comes from within me in so many ways. Like there's probably lots of perspectives on that, but I know that I have what I need within me to move forward and heal. Like I know that. And I also know sometimes I need help, right? But like we kind of have paradox. Okay. There's this paradoxical thing in healing of like look within. Absolutely look within, because actually your healing is there.
Yeah.
Right? And like no one can just heal you. You have to work, like you have to allow the healing, you have to believe in the healing, you have to like allow yourself to be healed and heal yourself, right? And there is that, what is that quote? No man is an island, right? Like
yes,
we actually are human and built to be in community, and we do really need each other. So what is the balance then for all of us, for anybody, of okay, how much do I practice this, look within, rely on myself, develop that relationship with myself to kind of be the balm to my own wounds, because I'm often the one perpetuating my own wounds through my faulty beliefs or traumas or whatever has happened, my programming. Okay, how do I be the balm to my own wounds? And when is it time, like when is it clear to me like, oh, I need outside help? And for me, and that outside help could be in the form of like a book sometimes too, of like reading the right book at the right time, or the right podcast, a movie. Oh my gosh, even if it's like just, watching Lord of the Rings at the right time can just like solve everything or whatever. It's like it doesn't have to be self-helpy all the time, right?
Or one that makes you cry. Like
yes,
a cry
move that
movie,
energy.
just
Yeah.
to move the energy. Absolutely.
And when is it like, oh, I feel like I need someone to help come tune me up. And I think for me, I think something I really appreciate about myself is I can generally feel that. Like I can generally be in touch with myself enough. And I think this is part of what makes me pretty strong and resilient, is like I can generally be a lot of balm to myself. And I can also feel like there's something more going on in there. I'm not seeing something, or like, yeah, I can keep working on this, but I really want help. I just want help. I want someone else to help me through this. Someone with a different skill set, someone who can show me that maybe it's not all that bad. Like maybe this is solvable, because right now I'm feeling kind of hopeless,
yeah.
So I think, yeah, we all need to practice developing that sensitivity of, if we're constantly just reaching for something else to help us without connecting first and seeing what's going on,
well,
that's not great either. But
I completely agree with you on all of that. Like being your own healer, like I constantly say that, like even on my website, it says, we have the power to heal ourselves, but sometimes we just need a little help.
Absolutely. I love that.
And sometimes some of that help is just actually verbalizing out loud and having somebody else hear it and being like, no, that makes sense. Because like I don't know about you, but sometimes I just get in tunnels, and there's other people I talk to, I just get in these cycles where I'm just like head spinning, and I just need somebody else for 5 minutes to be like, no, you're not crazy.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then it's fine. And then it's like, I'm like, okay, thanks. Like this is just really all I needed.
Totally. Or like, I'm spinning on this because my brain is trying to solve this issue. And if I tell a friend and they're like, no, you're not crazy, and have you thought about it this way, or have you tried this?
Yes.
It can be super profound.
Or you see all the possibilities of how it is, and you're just like, I am overwhelmed by the possibilities, and I can't see straight. anymore because I've gone down every road. Hello, I'm a Libra. Like I've gone down every path 12 times and I can't figure out which one it is. But
Yeah.
then like you said, a friend comes and they're just like, "Did you think of it this way?"
Mm-hmm.
And then it shifts your whole perspective.
Yeah.
And
It can be that
simple.
simple.
And I think, generally that's a lot of how most healing is it can be
It can be, yeah.
that simple.
Yeah.
Um,
Or it's like sometimes we're when we're in these more challenging states where we do need help, whether we're the strong ones or whatever, the healers, or we can want to, it can feel really dramatic, right? Like, I need to just fix myself. There needs to be some big solution. Like, I need to go on some major vision quest. And sometimes that's absolutely appropriate and that's needed, right?
absolutely.
But so often we want um, that like immediate medicine for this specific problem that will just cure it right up and heal it up and everything. But
Here,
often
God
it's
struck is like
God's
just like sorry.
yeah, just
Ding.
like everything's fine now, sort of like.
Yeah.
But so often what we actually need is like a shift.
Yes. Absolutely. And to kind of like I think there was a question somewhere in there. In my
I
brain I
know,
put that you asked
probably.
a question.
Answer it.
But
Please
like
answer it.
but it's like that knowing like when you're in the dark and you're spinning out of control and your wound management skills are no longer
Mm,
working, when do you reach out? So like you said, it's
yeah.
developing those skills and knowing who to reach out to. Like
Yeah.
I like get a lot of people that word vomit on me, just
Mm-hmm.
complete random
Mm,
strangers
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
who will just like, because they know that I am an active, they can just tell like the energy is just there. They'll just
Yeah.
walk up to me. I mean, in any such grocery store and just bleh.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know why I just did that. And I was like, it's okay, I do. Like,
Yeah.
are you okay now?
Yeah.
But to prevent you from getting to that point is to really knowing yourself and knowing that it's okay to reach out to
Yeah.
another healer, that we do have the power to heal ourselves at all times.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when we get so stuck in that mind loop,
Mm-hmm.
that we just need someone to sit with us in the dark and
Yeah.
like hold us through that
Yeah.
experience, which is where
Light a
reaching,
match and
yeah, light a
like,
match,
oh.
where like reaching out to another healer and
Yeah.
remembering that like healers need healing
Yeah.
too. And it's
Absolutely.
not a weakness to receive
Mm-hmm.
a healing session. And it's not something that you're doing for the and the nuance is the word that's coming to me. I'm not sure if that's right, but the nuance of just trying somebody out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like,
Or like learning. I'm gonna learn.
I'm gonna
I'm gonna
learn.
go to this person to learn. It's like, no, I actually really need support.
I really need support, and if there's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with me for that. I'm actually perpetuating my healing cycle
Yes.
because I'm doing that.
What's coming up to me as you're saying this is like we don't balk at doctors or nurses going to get medical attention, right?
Yes.
Like, or we don't. Um, I don't know. There's probably so many professions where people receive the services that they provide because they're a human, and so obviously it's like we need to remember for ourselves, like, oh, I'm a human, so I need healing. We all do at any given time, and like, how do we retrain the relationships in our lives that matter if that's not being seen, like
Mm-hmm.
this example you're giving of like sometimes you gotta know I'm struggling and that I'm having a hard time
Yeah.
saying something like how, so it's like, okay, how do we retrain some of those relationships? I'm so fortunate to have had that example to give you of like, oh, I was like, I'm fine, and my friends were like, no,
No,
you're
you're
not.
not.
Yeah. And I was like, you're right. Like just sobbing.
I'm not okay.
I'm not okay. So it's like, how do we like um kind of walk the walk, and like we tell our clients, like, ask for help, go to help, tell your friends, seek the help that you need. Like, how do we do that? And then also, um, like, just in this concept of like, okay, when do we heal ourselves? When do we seek healing? I think like what's coming to me is daily maintenance. We all need to be doing, whether
Absolutely.
you're a healer, whether you identify as a healer or anything else. Like,
Yeah.
that daily maintenance is what we can take responsibility for in ourselves. Whatever that means, is that meditation or exercise or journaling or whatever it is that helps refuel your tank or helps you process the crazy gunk that's going on or helps you move through those triggering moments. And then the more we get used to that, I think as healers we're often good at that, but it's like the more we do that, the better we get to know ourselves and know when it's like, actually, I need help, instead of getting to a point where I'm like, I'm so desperate for help, I'm screaming for it, and now I'm burnt out and like,
Absolutely. But I would also say that maybe not on a daily basis, but maybe
mm-hmm.
even on a monthly basis, everyone, society in general, has put healing and getting healing sessions as something to do when we're in chaos
So true. Oh
instead
my
of
God,
doing
yeah.
it as a daily not a
Yeah.
daily, like you do
Regular.
your own maintenance and
Yeah.
then you go see a healer regularly. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I tell people 4 weeks, 4 weeks out. It's a
Mm-hmm.
great once a month. It's not too much.
Yeah.
If you want to come back sooner, you absolutely
Yeah. If you're
can.
going through something heavy, whatever.
Yeah, and I kind of look at it like this, we get so used to our own practices, and I can say this even like when you're doing like tarot cards and learning to read
Mm-hmm.
yourself, sometimes you don't want to look at the pokey stuff,
So
right?
true.
And so like you get this familiar like, oh, I'm doing the healing stuff, I'm doing the meditating, I'm making sure I'm feeding myself. And so
Mm-hmm.
we get so comfortable in that, but we don't actually go deeper. And so
Mm-hmm.
then that like we kind of just shove that stuff down, and so then it just bubbles up and bubbles up and bubbles up.
Yeah.
And then that's why like having a regular like appointment and healer,
Mm-hmm.
having someone just as important as going and getting a massage,
Mm-hmm.
like why it's just as important to have a healer that you see regularly, whether you are a healer
Yeah.
or
Or
not,
not. Yeah.
because it should be part of your regular maintenance routine in the way that I feel.
I like that because, like, just hearing you describe that instantly, I'm like, yeah, I need someone to be able to see my blind spots
Mm-hmm.
because by definition I can't unless I get shown them in some sort of way.
Yeah.
But it's really easy to get like I love having a good self-care routine, or those good practices that I do to help keep me feeling sane, but that doesn't mean I'm always doing a lot of deep digging, or it doesn't mean I can't get into such a routine that I don't see, or I can easily kind of sweep under the rug the
Yeah.
things that are coming up.
It's
Yeah.
the way that I feel. The example that just came to mind was like be like having a weed in the garden,
Mm-hmm.
and you only get the surface level of it, and you don't get the root of
Yeah.
what's underneath. And so then you end up with twice as many, because now you've kind of like let the infection grow.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have twice as many weeds because you only worried about what was on the top of the
Mm-hmm.
soil.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I feel like, I mean, we could go on forever, and there's
We
probably lots
absolutely
of.
We absolutely could. The other thing that I was gonna say,
Mm-hmm.
just and which would make a very good another episode. Ooh,
Okay.
would be as healers and as strong ones, part of what we have to get over is that spiritual ego
Yeah.
and that like lack of being wanting to be vulnerable. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we go to someone and say we're having troubles, then we have
Yeah.
to admit it to ourselves that we're
Yes.
having troubles, and then that puts us in this vulnerability space.
Yeah.
And so then that hurts our ego.
Yeah. Yeah. Spiritual ego, spiritual perfectionism. I think all that can lead to narrow mindedness, things like that. I would love to discuss that more.
Yes,
Sounds great.
absolutely.
Hmm.
We will definitely do that
Next time.
On Read.